Welcome back to Week 9. This week you'll be reading Chapter 8 in the IFSTA book, which covers masonry, or what the fire service calls ordinary construction, or what NFPA would call Class 3 or Type 3 construction. Masonry construction, if not economical, is at least somewhat robust against fire, and I think you'll see that as you read through the content of the chapter. Also this week, we need to get you started on the review of the National Construction Safety Team report that we were to start last week, but were unable to due to the government shutdown. Now that the feds are back in business, at least for the moment, the NIST website is available. And what you'll want to do is actually go back to Week 8 to find the links and the supporting information. So that's what we'll do here is I'll actually click on the Week 8 tab. You'll see that now in every week from Week 8 and weeks thereafter, there's a folder that says NCST Research Paper. So the story with the NCST is that it's the National Construction Safety Team, which was founded in 2002 by the federal government as a division of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And if you think about NCST, it's a lot like some other federal agencies that investigate engineering failures. Probably the most well-known of these federal agencies is the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board. They've been around for a long time. If you think about their work, they investigate commercial air crashes, they investigate train derailments, they investigate vessel collisions, things of that nature. And the idea with the NTSB is that when something goes wrong in an engineered system like an airplane, we get to the bottom of what happened, and then we try to make interventions to prevent that from happening again. So the NCST, the NTSB, the Chemical Safety Board is another one that does this type of work. They're all basically technical agencies. They have no rule-making authority, but what they do is they advise agencies that have rule-making authority. So, for instance, the NTSB can advise the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, on new rules that shall be put in place to try to avoid the problem that caused the crash that they're investigating. So, NCST, like I said, it's a fairly recent agency as of 2002. In the Week 8 tab inside the NCST folder, you'll find a link to the NIST Disasters Study website, which is actually where the NCST reports are housed. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that link now. And what you're going to see from NIST is that basically they study disasters related. NIST studies a lot of things, but this part of NIST studies disasters related to building failures. And on the left side of the screen over here, you can see that they list building failures due to particular mechanisms. So you can feel free to choose an NCST report from any of these categories. The one caution I would make is choose a report that's on a scale that you really have time to cover. For instance, if you pull up the report on the collapse of the World Trade Center, that's going to be a pretty lengthy project to do all the analysis on. I would probably encourage you to choose a less complex collapse scenario. So, for instance, if we go to construction and in-service failures, what you're going to see here is a report actually of a Type 3 masonry and wood-constructed zero setback commercial structure that experienced an in-service collapse. In other words, there was no fire, there was no explosion, this thing just collapsed on its own. And if you click on more, you're able to get to this link to a PDF of the NCST's report on the incident, which is going to give you some engineering documentation as to what they thought the precipitating causes of the event were. So basically, for this week, what we want you to do is go out to the NIST website and get a handle on a report that you'd like to cover. And then there are a couple of templates in this Week 8 folder. And so if you look at this first template, it's just simply this is the introduction. This document will guide you through kind of the steps and expectations for the paper, and then we'll take a quick look at the templates for you. So again, just an overall statement of kind of why you're doing this and what the expectations are. Here are the links out to the websites. Again, you can just go to NIST's website and get there directly. And then this assignment kind of talks about just general expectations. And also in the document, this is a schedule of how the sections of the document will proceed. So this is not something you're going to, pull an all-nighter on and then turn in. You're going to basically be turning in small elements of this paper over the remainder of the course on a weekly basis, and then the final paper will be assembled from the small elements. Now, we're a week behind, and I'll have to do something with that to try and get you guys caught up. I'm not sure what that'll be, but I will be back to you guys in following weeks to let you know. This is the rubric against which you'll be graded on this paper, and you can see that it basically follows kind of the structure of the paper, and then some nuts and bolts stuff about word usage and the mechanics of the paper, spelling, and those types of things. This is just a checklist for you to go through before you submit individual sections to make sure that they are ready to be submitted. And that's basically the full assignment. Now, these templates are just simply Word documents where you're going to delete the prompts that I've put in and type in your own information. So for this first week, it's pretty simple. All you are going to do is remove where I put title of NCST report here and type in the title of the one that you'll be reviewing. You'll type in your name, the date, and that's all you'll need to do for this, and then you will save this as your title page template. Similar thing for the bibliography. I've kind of stubbed out a bibliography page for you guys, and you can add whatever documents you need. Now, these texts actually are for the face-to-face class. We use a different series of texts in that class. If you have these books, or if you use these two books by Salvadori, you can feel free to leave these on as references. Otherwise, you can remove them, and you can probably put your IFSTA book as a reference, because you'll likely be using some elements of that. The government document, this part here, this is where you will cite your NCST report that you've chosen. And so I've placed a government document in here just to show you the formatting that's expected for a citation for a government document. When you're done, delete this line about textbooks, delete this line about government document example, and clean it all up so it looks like a finished biography. And, bibliography. That will be your work for this week. Now, I understand, you may incorporate more references as you go, and if you do that, just update your bibliography. This is basically a first pass to just show me that you know how to properly cite resources that you're using in your paper. And I should probably comment on that just briefly. This is not a paper about your opinion. This is not, some statement of your philosophy. This is a research paper. And, what that means is that essentially, unless you're an expert, you're not allowed to give testimony as to, or you're not allowed to speculate. It's a bit like being in court. A person who's not an expert in a field can be a fact witness. In other words, they can testify to facts that they witnessed, but they cannot speculate. As opposed to an expert witness is someone who, by virtue of their education and experience, is allowed to speculate in court. They're allowed to make good engineering judgments in court. And it's kind of the same thing with this paper. None of you are experts in the collapse of structures, right? Those folks all work for NIST and for engineering firms. So you're not allowed to, in this paper, speculate. You need to back up what you say with documentation from an expert source. And that's why we need the bibliography. A tool that I'll mention here that can be useful for you is the bibliography generator. And so, for instance, if I were to type in your textbook, I may be able to find it in here and generate the citation automatically. Let's look if we can find IFSTA building construction. If you can't find it here, this also you can also put an ISBN in here, which means you could go to, for instance, Amazon.com, look up the book, get the ISBN. That'd be another method to search. Now, I just searched IFSTA building construction, and I found your book right here, Building Construction Related to the Fire Service. And so when I select that, and I say add to my bibliography, it will generate this bibliography entry right here. And then all you would need to do is copy and paste that into your document, make sure the tabs are appropriate, etc. And you'll be ready to go for that. So that's a useful tool for you. When you've finished both of those documents, the title page and the bibliography document, you're going to submit them through this online submission. So when you're ready, you click on this link here, and you would say begin, and basically it's going to give you the opportunity to attach a file for the title page, and then it's going to give you the opportunity to attach a file for the bibliography. Now, again, here at the submission, I've repeated the link that's in the support document for this report that gives you the link to the Purdue OWL, the online writing lab, which can be useful, especially in getting the formatting right on that bibliography. So, again, just more resources for you. Finally, I'd like to take a moment and look at the content under the Week 9 tab, since we are now in Week 9. And in addition to taking the quiz, I just wanted to talk briefly about failures in Class 3 masonry type structures. This first one's a very short PowerPoint. It's got some photographs that were taken by our fire inspector in my district, and the story is this is a building of masonry construction that is probably about 100 years old. It's in our business central district, so it's zero setback zoning, which means it touches the buildings next to it, it touches the back of the sidewalk. And the complaint we got on this is right next to this building is one of the local taverns, and people go out the back door of that tavern to smoke, and people were standing around the back smoking, and they reported bricks falling from the roof of this building. So we secured the area so that no one could go into it, and then we sent a crew over there the next day in the daylight, and this is what we found. You can see here that this was a just your common brick masonry wall, and above here are capstones. These capstones are designed to keep the water out of the mortar joints of this brick, and the story is that old masonry structures like this were assembled with lime mortar as opposed to Portland cement that we use today. And the problem with lime mortar is that it is water soluble. So buildings of this vintage require periodic maintenance through a process called tuck pointing, where you hire this skilled tradesman to come in and repack the mortar joints every few years to compensate for the mortar that's been dissolved by the rainwater. That maintenance was not done on this building. It's getting hard to find people who do tuck pointing, and the result was that the top of this wall failed. Now, this did not lead to a collapse of the building, but you can see it led to a pretty significant collapse of the parapet. The other concern, certainly for us, if we were doing fire suppression on top of this building, would be this chimney here. You can imagine that if we're working on the roof and the mortar joints in the chimney have dissolved, we'd want to be very, very careful to make sure no one leans against that or sets any type of tool against it, because you may be able to knock that entire chimney over with a very light push. Now, in this case, like I said, our fire inspector placed a condemnation on the building, basically meaning it was unlawful to occupy the building until the issue is resolved with the bricks, and that's actually what you see posted on these doors. The long and short of it is the owner of the building next door, the owner of this building, got tired of having maintenance problems, having his neighbor's bricks fall on his roof, and actually ended up buying this building and rehabbed it. And now these two are connected, and they run a restaurant that occupies both of these. So it was kind of a success story in terms of urban renewal. The last thing, which I'm not going to have time to show you, but I want you to watch this short video clip of a demolition gone wrong, and it just kind of highlights the weak tensile strength of mortar joints, which is one of the things that needs to be overcome by the construction strategies in a Type 3 building. Beyond that, if there's anything I can do to assist your learning, as always, please feel free to get in touch with me at the contacts listed in the syllabus.